money. It's everywhere, yet few truly understand where it came from. Ever wondered why gold is considered the ultimate form of wealth? Why did some civilizations use silver, while others relied on barley or seashells? The answer lies in a shadowy past that reveals much more than just ancient trade. The history of money is far from straightforward. What we use today as currency, whether it's paper bills or digital dollars, has roots stretching back thousands of years, deeply entangled in the rise and fall of empires, wars, and the very concept of value. But money wasn't always the gold coins or notes that we now know. In fact, it began in an entirely different form, with ancient civilizations creating what we now recognize as the first forms of wealth. This journey begins in the cradle of civilization, in the bustling markets of Mesopotamia, where the first form of money, silver shekels, was born. But it doesn't end there. In this video, we will uncover the hidden history of money, how it shaped societies, ignited empires, and laid the foundation for the global economy that dominates our world today. From the mysterious rise of precious metals to the creation of money systems that transformed the world as we know it, the story of currency is far more complex than anyone ever imagined. So, let's dive into the past, into the untold story of wealth creation, and explore how ancient civilizations gave birth to the system that governs us all today. Most people think of money as a simple tool for trade. You go to work, get paid, and exchange it for goods and services. But in reality, money has been the key to power, influence, and societal control for thousands of years. Its origins are clouded by time, and understanding how ancient civilizations created wealth challenges many of the assumptions we have about our modern financial system. Why, for example, did ancient societies begin to use metal currency, like silver or gold, instead of simpler forms like barter or tokens? And what was the significance of these early systems in shaping how power and wealth were distributed in these ancient civilizations? The answers lie in the development of trade routes, the emergence of complex economies, and the very need to establish trust between different cultures. But perhaps the greatest mystery of all is this: how did a society's choice of currency impact the rise or fall of entire empires? Was it the abundance of gold that secured Rome's dominance, or was it something darker, like the control of silver trade in ancient Mesopotamia, that determined which civilization thrived and which crumbled into obscurity? These are questions we must explore to truly understand the dark and intricate origins of money. Our exploration begins in Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, around 3000 BCE. Here, the first form of money appeared in the form of silver shekels. Unlike the coins we recognize today, these shekels were not shaped as circular pieces, but were actually lumps of silver, valued by their weight. This was not just an economic shift, but a fundamental change in the way society understood wealth and trade. Before the shekel, barter dominated the world's economies. Barter, as any historian will tell you, is incredibly inefficient. You needed to find someone who not only had what you wanted, but also had something you could give in exchange that they wanted. This system works for small, local exchanges, but when you start talking about empires, vast trade routes, or large-scale transactions, it becomes unwieldy. The invention of the shekel allowed people to standardize trade in a way that had never been done before. Silver, prized for its rarity and beauty, became the perfect medium. It had intrinsic value, could be easily measured, and was durable enough to withstand the wear and tear of trade. But silver's true significance wasn't just its physical properties, it was the system of weight and measure that came with it. By standardizing value, this system allowed for more predictable exchanges and opened the doors to more sophisticated forms of commerce. As trade networks expanded, the Mesopotamians began to understand the need for record-keeping and documentation. The first known contracts and legal documents written in cuneiform on clay tablets were used to ensure that the exchange of goods or silver was properly documented. This wasn't just about trading goods, it was about creating a reliable system of wealth transfer that would support a growing society. Silver became a vital tool in the Mesopotamian economy, facilitating trade across vast distances. From the Sumerians to the Akkadians, and eventually to the Babylonians, silver shekels allowed for an economy that could handle the complexities of empire building. This era marked the birth of financial systems that would continue to evolve across the world. Meanwhile, in ancient Egypt, the use of currency began to take a different form. While silver and gold were also important in Egyptian trade, the Egyptian economy was heavily reliant on grain. In fact, grain, particularly barley, acted as a form of money in ancient Egypt, especially during times of famine or poor harvests. This agricultural wealth was so deeply ingrained in Egyptian society that the earliest monetary systems were built around the value of crops. Grain was a tangible, valuable resource, and its use as currency made sense in a society deeply tied to the land. The pharaohs, who controlled vast swathes of agricultural land, often used grain to pay workers, including those who built the monumental pyramids. But the Egyptians also traded with neighboring regions, such as Nubia and the Levant, and they needed a more standardized form of currency for these broader exchanges. This is where precious metals like gold came into play. Gold became a symbol of wealth and power in ancient Egypt, and it was used not just for trade, but also for ornamentation and religious purposes. The Egyptians, however, did not mint coins in the same way the Greeks or Romans did. Instead, they used gold and silver in the form of jewelry, bullion, and eventually ingots to facilitate large-scale trade and investment. This development was important because it introduced the idea of wealth as something abstract, not tied to any one commodity, but rather to the ability to store value in a form that could be exchanged across time and space. In this way, Egypt laid the groundwork for the more sophisticated systems of currency that would come later. Fast forward to the Greek and Roman empires, where coinage would revolutionize the concept of money. It was the Greeks who first began to mint coins around 600 BCE, and the Romans who perfected and expanded this practice. The introduction of minted coins in the ancient world was a game-changer, providing a portable, durable, and easily recognizable form of currency. The Greek city-states, each with its own form of coinage, used these small, circular pieces of precious metal to facilitate trade not just within their borders, but across the Mediterranean. Coins were practical and efficient, stamped with the images of gods, kings, or symbols of the state. The imagery on the coins was more than just decorative. It was a powerful statement of authority, a message sent to all who held these coins that the state itself stood behind the currency. Rome took this idea further, and the Roman Empire used its coinage as a means of asserting dominance across its vast empire. Coins were minted with the faces of emperors, reinforcing their authority and making the currency itself a symbol of imperial power. The Roman denarius, a silver coin, became the standard unit of currency across the empire. This coin was widely accepted in trade from Britain to the Middle East, and its spread helped solidify Roman control over conquered territories. But the Roman Empire's reliance on coins also introduced a critical problem: debasement. As the empire grew, so did its financial needs. To meet these needs, the Romans began to dilute the silver content in their coins. The more they debased their currency, the less value it had. By the time of the empire's decline, the Roman coinage was practically worthless, contributing to inflation, economic instability, and the eventual collapse of the empire. The Roman experience with currency, is a poignant reminder of the dangers of over-relying on a monetary system. What began as a symbol of imperial power eventually led to a loss of confidence, leading to financial ruin. The lesson here is timeless. When money is not managed properly, it can undermine the very empire that depends on it. As civilizations grew, so too did their economic sophistication. Ancient China introduced its own form of coinage, and the Silk Road allowed for the exchange of goods and wealth between East and West. China's use of bronze coins laid the groundwork for the extensive monetary systems that would later dominate East Asia. In the medieval period, the rise of Islamic banking and the introduction of paper currency in China marked significant advances in the global history of money. Islamic merchants, trading across vast territories, developed complex financial tools such as bills of exchange, credit, and promissory notes, which laid the foundation for modern banking. Meanwhile, the Chinese experiments with paper money during the Tang dynasty set the stage for the eventual global use of paper currency. The turning point in the history of money comes with the rise of global trade in the early modern period. By the 16th century, the development of national banking systems, the discovery of the New World, and the influx of precious metals from the Americas transformed the global economy. The establishment of financial institutions in Europe, such as the Bank of England, further revolutionized how money was handled and invested. Money, in its many forms, has been central to the rise and fall of empires, the spread of cultures, and the development of modern society. From the simple silver shekels of Mesopotamia to the sophisticated banking systems of the medieval world, ancient civilizations created systems of wealth that have had lasting impacts on the world we live in today. The lessons of ancient money are not just historical curiosities. They reveal a timeless truth about power, trust, and the human desire for control. What began as a means to facilitate trade and manage resources became a tool for empires to assert dominance, control populations, and manipulate economies. Today, as we continue to deal with the complexities of digital currencies and global financial systems, understanding the hidden history of money is more important than ever. If you're fascinated by the unseen forces that shape our world, consider subscribing for more insights into the hidden histories that influence our lives today.